Hey guys, it's episode 21 already. Good evening, and now this is a. I know it doesn't really look like anything you've seen me before, like at the office or at the place that I'm staying, but um, I'm at a high school because it's working day, and I have to install some video conferencing devices for all the students in this high school to be able to take online courses. And joining me tonight is my dear good friend Christian. Hello, my friend. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, Theo. Nice to be here.
And nice to have you. And hopefully, we'll be able to have the stream as good as always. Hello to Patrick. Hello to Soren. Hello to everybody watching this now or after it's recorded. I hope we will have a great show. I'm sure now because having my good friend Christian with me. Maybe Lut will join us also because he has some Flames of War games to finish and probably he will be able to join us at a point or not. Maybe in the comments. It's definitely something better than what I did last time when I was all by myself. It sucks, man. It really sucks. I really need you guys to be with me when I'm streaming because otherwise, I can hardly find my words.
Yeah. You'll turn schizophrenic if you sit there all by yourself, Theo.
Exactly, exactly. I will just do a short sound check to see that you guys can hear me right, and then we just carry on. All right, so I think it should be good enough. If it isn't, if you guys can't hear me very good, then let me know and I will try to boost up the microphone. Good, so rocking off. Christian, yeah, you've told me a really nice topic for tonight. You said you want to talk about what's going on with the cards and how people should be building their lists using the cards and all of the controversy regarding that can you use or you can't use cards from Fortress Europe with let's say D-Day SS book, right?
Yes.
So go deeper into that and then
Yeah. The thing is, as if you're new to the hobby and you only play V4, you can't remember the way it used to be. And back in the day, there were hundreds of different lists in PDFs with generic, let's say, German grenadier lists with small varieties such as special rules for some particular thing that happened in that certain theater where they fought. And the way that Battlefront has moved around this now is that they have created these command cards to give flavor to the lists and also to try and make them as historical accurate as possible. The thing is, Phil has verified that you can combine every card you want to the formation you have. So let's say you have a Grenadier Force, a vanilla Grenadier Force from Fortress Europe. You can put cards from the German D-Day book to them, for instance. And by doing this, you can create some really nasty lists, and you can combine forces that were not necessary in the same theater. Let's say you have some Beach Grenadiers that all of a sudden have a Ferdinand support from Fortress Europe, and for the casual gamer, you might not see this, but at tournaments where these things are allowed, you might see some combinations that are outrageous. Like back in the old days, where in mid-war you could have a lot of Italian tanks, small tanks from North Africa, combined with a Ferdinand. Uh, and I think it was when they had the GT in the US where Livio won, we were able to bring a list such as that. We got that sorted out with our rule pack for the ETC, so you were not allowed to make combinations like this. But I'm just asking you guys here at the chat in the stream what you guys think, because in my opinion, it's you have to make a rule package if you want to get around these things. But if you just make a basic tournament where everything goes, just be prepared when you go and you make your list that you can encounter some nasty combinations, because people might not just bring a list from the German D-Day book or the German SS book. They might combine stuff. And in the end, when we will also have the German counterpart to Bagration D-Day, you might see forces that are a mixed match of all kinds of things, historically accurate or not. So I'm just curious, because I'm hosting a tournament 3 weeks from now with 14 participants, and I have said that everything goes. It's the Battlefront standard, and the guys from the ETC team might most likely will bring their version of the ETC list, but we have different restrictions for the ETC. So I'm just curious what you guys think in the chat about the way you are able to mix unit cards back and forth.
So basically, maybe I can drop in some words about that. The fact is that, from what I know, you can only use cards for the formations you're building. So, for example, if you're having a Fortress Europe Grenadiers, you can only use upgrades, but not Fortress Europe, because you don't have cards in Fortress Europe. But let's say normal D-Day book, then you have the cards from that one, and you can only use for the Grenadiers. You can only use cards from that. I know that Forces allows you to do that crazy mix of cards.
Yeah.
But
what I'm thinking, I think I have to rephrase my question. It's not so much the combination of unit cards or command cards. It's more the fact that you can take support from Fortress Europe and incorporate, let's say, a Ferdinand in your list for your Beach Grenadier formation. You can have a Ferdinand as support. You might take these as trained generic things on the Eastern Front and use them like that. But by combining all of these different books and formation support from those, you might see some constellations that are not historically accurate. And I'm just curious to see what people think about that.
Yeah, I don't know what to say actually, because from what I know, you can only take support. For example, let's bring up the builder. I think this is the best way to check it out, right?
Yeah.
So forces. 1 second, just being on the laptop, it's a little bit nimbier, but you will see me in a second. Oh, you're seeing my credentials, but they're hidden. So what you're saying is I'm going to build a new list. You guys can see me, yeah? One question for the chat. Do you guys hear me well in the chat? I mean, on the stream. This is because I cannot monitor my audio output, and it's a bit like, you know, annoying. Monitor my audio output, and
they can hear you just fine too.
Perfect. All right. So let's carry on.
But to get to your question, Søren, it's not so much I think it's a problem. I'm just curious what you feel about it, you guys. Because to me, I'm a competitive player, and if I want to make a completely historical accurate tournament, I can just say that only these 2 books or 3 books can be pitched against each other. But if you go to a big open event where everything goes, it's very difficult to, incorporate stuff to handle all kinds of lists.
Exactly.
In your own list.
So let's go with the. So I opened up a D-Day German force, and I just want to go, for example, with Panzer Grenadiers, right? So I will just make some Panzer Grenadier things. have Lud who might be able to join us. Is it? Oh, he didn't get the victory point. Let's put it that way.
Did he lose?
Yeah, I don't know what he played, but maybe he'll be back on the stream with us and tell us how it went, at least for a.
He might blame the dices to you. Oh, I had so poor dices. It has nothing to do with my movement.
Yeah. Well, Lud always like recognizes when he does mistakes, so.
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
I'll give him some credit for that. Who knows? Maybe his opponent was a really tough guy to crack. So just put in my regular things, and then for formation support, I have, of course, the formation support given by the, for example, the book, the D-Day book, and I can go to Fortress Europe German formation support, and I cannot take any Ferdinands in forces. So from my point of view, this is problem solved.
But try and do it the other way around too. Like, let's say you make a Fortress Europe formation, and you can take Grenadier support from the D-Day book.
Yeah, but Fortress Europe already has. Let's see something like so Hotchkisses. I don't think you can take, or can you take the Hotchkiss? I think you can take the Hotchkiss for Fortress Europe. So new formation, go for Fortress Europe.
I concur what you say, Søren. Fortress Europe was a collection of, Grey Wolf, the old V3 book on the Eastern Front, were a collection of a lot of books, and in my opinion, it was the best German book that there were available, because you could make some really good generic lists from from Grey Wolf that could handle a lot of stuff. But I'm just thinking about that we are actually playing an historical game, and would you rather go to a tournament that is historically accurate, where you play red versus blue, or do you want to go to a tournament where everything goes?
Well,
I like both things.
Exactly. I mean, I will do the same thing. For instance, I mean, it's what type of tournaments and what type of gameplay fits everybody. For example, for me, I really like competitive gameplay, but I also enjoy playing like themed games and these kind of things. Although we never got to that point in our club, because it's always been let's get ready for the ETC. Let's get to try the list and everything. But we actually went to a point where we wanted to recreate the Kursk battle, for example, or the D-Day, actually the D-Day beach landing and everything. But we never got to play the game. I mean, me and Dan, for example, we tried out. I remember in version 3, I was eager to play a lot of Tigers, and he was preparing a lot of KVs and these kind of things. And we wanted at a point to do a 2,000 points battle, when it was that 1600, yeah, 1650 limits, and yeah, we didn't manage to get to that point. So basically, if you are a competitive player, you'll always build your lists competitive, or with the idea that you're going to go to a tournament where people will like to see your list being competitive and being somehow respecting some parts of some rules, like for example list building, where you cannot create like really horrible lists with I don't know, 300 small recon cars or stuff like that.
But the thing is, sometimes we at tournaments in Denmark we make it historical accurate, and then sometimes we might say that it's also part of a campaign, let's say that, and then we're only allowed to have 3 armored lists, for instance, or 3 grenadier lists or something like that. And I really enjoy when you have to rethink your strategy, so you don't always bring, when the meta has settled, you will bring the same list if you like to play Germans, for instance. Or if you want to play British, you play with that certain meta list, or you want to try and break that meta. But what I really like is when sometimes we make campaigns or scenario tournaments and stuff like that, where we say, in this part of the front, that weren't that many martyrs, so you have to bring your pack 38s instead. So you see different models on the table and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because
that
that's also part of the hobby to me, I think.
that's a great idea, and I think that Battlefront could encourage that, and they're already doing it with their campaigns. But I think that at a point they used to be more engaging. Let's say, I mean, their campaigns are pretty much left for like people from No Dice No Glory or Breakthrough Assault to run them. I would organize everything at the level of at the level of Battlefront. Like why doesn't Battlefront organize these campaign games and get all this information and stuff like
They
that?
did it. They did it back in the day with the D-Day release of the German and American book, and I really loved it. It was really nice. They did
Exactly,
that.
exactly,
But
and that also brought a lot of new people to the game. I mean, I know for sure that at our club, two new guys started playing Flames of War during that campaign time. Although we didn't play any game in the campaign at the store, but just that they've seen it online and they've seen people running these kind of tournaments. They rose their interest and they got hooked into it. So I'm seeing Patrick played my list again. Is it the U.S. Sherman list? I think it is, probably. And Soren prefers the historical correct list with red and blue. Yeah. As we all play a historical game, let's say, historical themed game, I think everybody would prefer historical accurate lists and see how they go and how everything mixes up. But sometimes it happens that, yeah,
yeah,
you
I think
can't.
the thing is the good. What I'm trying to advocate is that if you, as a TO, try to do it a bit different each time, you'll force the players to rethink the lists, think out of the box, and you also support the hobby by saying, okay, these units here, they are not being used that much, but in this particular scenario, you're only allowed to bring units like this. It takes a lot of effort as the TO to prepare all this stuff, also to try and balance it out so it's not going to be one-sided. But sometimes, like in mid-war, you would never see static guns, especially the Pack 38, because the Martyrs were simply just better. And I think it's a bit, I don't know, not say it's terrible, but I like to see variety on the battlefield. Um, so I know for a fact that whenever we make our big campaign in Denmark each spring, we have lists that are handed out, or not the list in particular, but you have to sign up for, hey, I want to play an armored list, or I want to play, let's say, a infantry list and such. So, for instance, when we played the last time, we had a Normandy campaign in the spring, just before coronavirus took off and stuff, and people were only allowed to bring. I think we had 3 or 4 armored lists for the Germans because it was 21st Panzer, 12th SS Panzer, and stuff like that. So, and Panzerlehr and things like that. So there were the accurate amount of armored formations in the theater of war as it was in real life. So I'm just trying to advocate for people that you have to set your mindset uh, up to which kind of tournament you're going to. Is it going to be an open tournament? Then bring your A game and try and squeeze as much cheese as possible out of the list. And sometimes try also to arrange tournaments where it's historically accurate, because that can also be some very cool and intriguing games, especially with the campaign missions and such. Did you get the pictures, by the way, Tio, I sent you?
Yes, I have the pictures of some very beautiful models you've painted.
They are
Uh,
still VIP, still work in progress, but what I'm trying to show is that if you do a bit of conversion, you're able to make some. unit stand more out. So I found an old gunner from the I think it's the Buffalo water tank or IFV, whatever you want to call it, the landing craft. There's a gunner there, and I put him on the back of my Achilles tank hunters. So
In a second, I will have them on the screen for everybody
yeah,
to
no
see
worries.
and
No
enjoy.
worries. You can see it, and that's what I'm trying to say. That if you want to make historical accurate tournament, then also try to
Paint your
tell a
models.
story. Paint your models and try to tell a story with your models. I know Søren that is also in the chat. He's been doing a lot of research for his American list, and especially with the recognition flags and so on and so forth. So I actually put on a recognition flag on one of my tanks as well, and they're
And
still a work in progress. But
they're on the screen right now.
screen,
There's a M10 currently on display. It's an Achille actually.
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a conversion I made. It's models from Forged in Battle with some parts from Battlefront, and the antenna I made out of some dishwashing washes. Yeah, and these are still a work in progress because I have to do a lot of more highlights on them, and I have to add a bit more of hessian camo and stuff. So, but this is just to show you that never throw out your bits. You might need them.
Exactly.
And
Use them carefully and wisely because you don't know when your next project will require it. I really like what you did with the Cromwell headlamp here or search lamp.
yeah,
I really like
yeah.
how it looks.
It's like if you find a guide how to paint a diamond, it's just to show the reflection in the land.
Nice.
I think there's some pictures of my crocodiles that I'm working on. Yeah, you can zoom in. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is a little diamond shape I made to try and give some reflection to the land.
Nice. Very nice.
And
Man,
then
you know, I just want to be able to paint at a point, just 10% to the things you're painting and to what Lud is also painting because he's crazy also about that. Now look at these
uh,
guys,
yeah,
flamethrowers in action.
yeah, and these I've added some storage and some hessian camo on them, and then I've used some. I think it's just wool you buy in a hobby store, and I painted it and added it to the vehicles. They still need a bit more touch up because I need to put on a flag and recognition flag on them as well, and a bit more chipping, and then they're done. The flames are not magnetized, Søren, but I made it so that I drilled a hole in the flame so I can take it off for gaming purposes and then put it in when it's driving forward. But I don't know if I want to put it in because you might scare the opponent to not forget what the tank is able to do.
Exactly.
But I magnetized the trailers so you could easily move through a building, or like if you want to park on a hill and stuff like that, you're able to bend and turn and twist the trailers because they're magnetized.
Now that raises a question that I used to have, you know, back.
But it's part of the model. It's
back
part of the model.
yeah, but still, you can like orient it in such way that it will not be side shot. So I will keep it straight in line with the rest of the tank, just to be sure that it goes there. And then now we have another picture, very nice one with the Shermans.
Yeah.
Now these guys have a lot of camo on them. I mean I've seen the article on. Now they look really nice. I really like what you did with this guy's gun. I hope you guys can see it on the stream. Yeah. So this Sherman here on the left looks absolutely incredible with the markings
Yeah.
and all that stuff. You
Then
go.
I did the camouflage that they used to use on the fireflies on the barrel. But these are the old resin ones, and I'm added some more storage and added some more things on them, and I'm using a lot of time too because they are going to be in the painting competition at DTC. So they have been on my table for 3 months, and then I sit there and do individual chips and stupid stuff like that. So hopefully in a month or so, all of these different units will be done, and when I'm done a bit more sculpting of Asian camo and things, they hopefully will be done.
Well, I
But of
could,
course, the competition there is fierce, I tell you.
yeah, I could say you're going crazy here, maybe a little bit, but it's just me. Yeah, yeah, guys. I mean, painting is something you should really do to your models. So Benjamin is asking you, yeah, that if you're going to bring these models at MidCon, and
And yeah,
probably.
I hope the Achilles will be done. If you go back to them, you can see I'm almost done with them. I just need to do some Hessian camo. The Achilles I did with the gun on. And what I actually bought also is that I'm gonna do some muzzle flashes for the 50
No,
cals
no,
as
no, no,
well.
no, no, don't say.
Yeah.
Just
Because I'm insane.
keeping the secrets, you know. Just
Yeah, yeah,
share them with us later on, and maybe at
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
at the competition, because otherwise people will get inspired, my friend. Because great artists inspire other people. So I can see you had a nice some kind of answer from Thomas from House of Hengis, and he's saying that basically. Um,
Yeah, they require great sets. So yeah, I concur. I concur that if you have a cool table, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. House of Hengist. The thing is, at MidCon last year, or yeah, last year when I was hosting the tournament as well, we had the 40k tables next to us, and because of the stupid cover rules in that game that they luckily have changed now, they did this. So they had these cardboard terrain features that were just like two pieces of cardboard
that was absolutely
glued
stupid.
together,
Yeah.
and then there were one in each table corner because otherwise you could just alpha strike the other one's army to death. So you had tables, you had 40 tables that were all similar with the same terrain. You didn't have cool planets with lava or snow or whatever. And at my tournament, at the MidCon tournament, we have a terrain building competition as well. And Benjamin, who's in the chat, is also participating in that competition. Last year, he built a beautiful jungle table, and this year he's bringing some urban table with a little village and the outskirts of that leading up to the village and things. So we had these beautiful tables with telephone poles and little fountains and outhouses and hedges and fields and you name it. It was just like when you see railroad model terrain. And in comparison, I was just so glad that I don't play 40k anymore because those tables just look so dull and lame that you have to build the tables to be able to play at. Then there's something wrong with the gaming system. So the tables at Flames of War is normally always really good looking.
Exactly, exactly, and we should try our best. I mean, as players, to bring our contributions to tournaments regarding maybe terrain building. If, for example, you're going to a local club that doesn't have that much resources, you should bring like maybe have some fields at home, or maybe have some nice painted houses or stuff like that. You should bring them to the tables and build your terrain as good as possible, and maybe as historical or not geographically, let's say. But so try to make, like, for example, if you're having a village, then don't put a wood in the middle of the village, because you're not going to see that. Maybe a small park, but don't build like silly tables and goofed up tables.
There's a fine line between making it aesthetically look cool and then also gaming wise work, because sometimes when we have had campaigns at the boarding school, in the spring, where we have a 2-day campaign.
Yeah.
I've had some urban tables that were really cool. There were ruins all over, but it meant that your infantry were bulletproof all over the place. It might be historical accurate that your infantry is hiding, but the games didn't conclude. So for the campaign and for the results of the campaign,
It
it was
didn't.
just a stalemate. And yeah, it happens in war as well, Stalingrad, But again, try to combine the aesthetics with the gaming, and then you'll have a great looking table.
Exactly. I will put this as our background because I really like it, and then we'll get our very beautiful faces on top of it. And now we have a background. Hopefully, one second.
And then again, for you guys that want to take pictures of your models, this is something Søren he taught me, because I bought a photo box, and it's very cheap to get a photo box. You can get some in your local, I don't know, Photoshop or like online. But what you really need is some basic lamps with some good light bulbs in them. And you have
Exactly.
to have some with at least 4,000 Kelvin daylight bulbs. And that really improved my pictures. This here is just taken on my desktop, but it's with the same lamp as I use for my pictures. But when I eventually finish these and put them in my photo box, which is just like you could use an old shoebox and put a piece of paper inside and just have a good lamp, you're able to take very nice pictures.
Exactly.
But
Exactly, and I can give you some tips on that. Maybe I should try to make a tutorial on how to build and take photos of your models, because this is what I'm doing as a daily job. So
yeah,
I could put that into perspective and see how it goes. I see Mr. Helgates coming up to the stream with a very big statement saying that the Soviet Bagrations are supposed to auto-strike opponents to death. Hopefully not.
we'll see.
I still think my British D-Day recon will ruin that day for the Bagration Soviets. But
I'm gonna put it to the test, because Anders, who's also part of the Danish ETC team, and Helge and all the usual lot are gonna come to the tournament.
right?
And I know for a fact that Anders is gonna bring the Soviets, and I'm gonna bring the temporary lists, or the work in progress list for the next year's ETC. And as we talked about your hatred to German Panthers and them not working, I'm gonna put the Russians to the test. So hopefully, because I'm the TO, I can arrange the first round. And I want to have, we only have 3 games during that
All right.
tournament. So the first game, I'm gonna try and match people up that not normally play against each other.
All right.
But I want to play against the Russian list, because I want to check to see if all the things the internet have been complaining about, if it's put to the test, is it really the fact? Are they really that good?
Is it broken, or is it not? I don't know what to say, actually. From what I've seen until now, from all those reviews and stuff like that, I know it will be a very, very huge, let's say, brainstorming going on with all the ETC teams and stuff like that for creating the best competitive list, or the meta list for the Soviets, because there are so many formations in there and so many combinations that it will like take forever to find like what's best and whatever works good and things like that. I mean, for instance, I think it's the most complex book until now. I mean, it looks like that, but yeah, of course we'll have to see how it goes, and we will break it down when it will release, and we will see what's the best list in our opinion, or in our majority opinion, let's say. and see how it goes. I've seen that Patrick told me that my Panzer IV list is did him well, and it gives him some good results. This is because sometimes lists are good, or let's say some formations are good, or some combinations are good, without taking that much into consideration the player's experience. Of course, it has to fit that player's way of play style and way of thinking, and the way he wants to play it defensively, maneuver or attack, or if he wants to stay put and wait for his opponent to react and stuff like that. The Panzer IVs, in my opinion, are the best for the SS. The carriers are the best for the British. The Greyhounds are the best for the normal D-Day, and veteran Shermans are the best for US. That's for me, and
Yeah.
I mean this is what I play, and this is what fits me. That way. Yeah, Helgi, I know. You don't say that Bagration is broken because you have a lot of experience, and I'm sure that, for example, you will not be scared by hordes of IS-2s, especially with the fact that at a point I think you got pretty much beaten up, wasn't it?
I think
You guys tried it out with
yeah,
IS-2.
we tried the IS-2s. Me and Helge and I played the IS-2s, but to be frank, he underrolled a bit on the average with his ambush and his panthers and stuff, and I just homed in every shot when we played. So we only played like 5 turns, and then we just talked it out, and then played a regular game all the way through. That day when we tested the IS-2 before the book was, when they just had released some small teasers and stuff. But let's see. The meta will settle next year, I think, with the German Eastern Front book, and we might have your beloved Battle of the Bulge book coming out by then, and stuff like that. But again, that's what we like in the hobby too. We like to have to rethink all the time, always be on the edge of your game if you want to win. If it was just, they only came out new books each 5 years, they would lose a lot of interest for all of us.
Exactly. I'm actually so apart from the US Bulge book that I'm really expecting and hoping for it to be a good book. The book that I'm expecting the most is actually the Axis Allies. So I'm really expecting, not that I'm Romanian, but yeah, that's 50% of the reason that I'm expecting the Romanians to come out. But the fact that the Romanian army, the way it was thought of in version 3, is a very new dynamical to the Axis armies. So basically, also the Finns, but the Finns are, let's say, more like, like a Swiss knife. You really have to know how to play them, and they give you very good results. But with the Romanian armies, at least in version 3, they were really good for beginners. So they were very forgiven because most of them were being hit on 4+. Of course, being trained in other crazy stats like we used to have in version 3. But I really think it will be a point. So Hungarians, Romanians, and Finns, that book, I can't wait for it, and I'm really hoping to be the book.
Yeah,
that'll be will bring some flavor.
Yeah, and I hope for the future of the game that when they have done, like, we're probably gonna get a Battle of the Bulge book, and we're gonna get a British book with Northwestern Germany, and we might get a Battle of Berlin book or something like that. When they have done all that, and we have had our fair share of late war books, and that settles down, I hope for the love of God that they will go back. And now let's say they by then have drawn in a lot of players, new players, perhaps old players that have had a break, so that they can do some early war books.
Early war books,
Because
yeah, yeah,
because you can have so many factions in early war,
exactly.
and I'd say just go nuts. See if you can. Let's say because the book, sorry, the war actually started, with the Japanese invasion of China and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
So if they
Manchurian
made like,
conflict.
yeah, exactly. So if they made like some, let's say some pre early war, this like Chinese or Japanese, and then also did like a book with all the different factions pre-war, like let's say 39 onwards. You might have a new French book, a new Polish book, some Italian books, some Greek books.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot
Yeah,
of stuff they could do.
I remember those pack mules doing really good job for the Greek army
Yeah,
back in
yeah.
the day.
But again, it depends. There have to be a market for it because it's expensive for them to create all the molds, for them to cast the miniatures. So I think if they go back to making like an early war book, it might be, let's say, French, British, German, and then it might be some, I don't know, Poles or some Russians, or like early or like 41, summer 41, up until then for Operation Barbarossa. But we'll see. I just hope that he'll do that. And what I really wanted to see also is that they eventually will make some books that can be used in. They tried to make Pacific, but what they could really do was to make like a New Guinea book with Australians and Japanese and some Chinchits in Burma for the British guys, and all of these. They can make a Pacific theater by themselves if they want. Chinese, Japanese, Chinchits, British regular forces like Singapore perimeter force, something like that, and Australians in New Guinea and stuff like that. I really hope that they will get to that at some point. Perhaps
Yeah,
for some mid-war books, or I don't know. I really hope they do that.
yeah. Australians. I think you already have them as cards, don't you? With the new.
Yeah, you can have them, like as Commonwealth forces, and also the Kiwis, New Zealanders, I think.
All right. So
Um,
yeah, I mean, this kind of things probably they will build them separately. Benjamin is asking us, but I think that at a point they could actually come not with a new book, but come out with like for example the SS. Me and for example. Other people, let's say that way, think that the SS book could have been done like like the 21st army was done. So basically, don't require a new different book, especially for that. I mean, just make a formation that you can have, some formations that you can have, and some cards that you can have, and put in some heroes, and that's about it. Yeah. So, guys, basically, I will have a lot to do this evening, tonight. So I will have to get to work, and I know Christian also has some stuff to do.
yeah.
It's been really fun and engaging to see you guys again. And Christian actually and Lud, we talked about things like how often you like to see us streaming and how often you like to see us online. And for us, for me, for example, once a week, it's the sweet spot. And maybe when we have releases and hot stuff or doing our tournaments where maybe we can get some broadcasts, we can have that. But if you think it's too much, then just give us like a bump and say, guys, you know, you need to chill out and see how it goes. And Soren is asking you, Christian, for an anecdote. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you better have one ready.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to that. First of all, I want to recommend a book I already recommended it to Helge, who's in the chat. It's James Holland, who is a really well-known and well-awarded, so to speak, historian. And he has written a book just with the title Normandy 44. And the way he makes the book is with letters, diaries, and official stuff. So he combines the highest general's memoirs with the lowest private memoirs. And this week's anecdote is actually about one of the lesser known beaches that were assaulted. And it was the Sword Beach, as you know, it's part of the British sector. And what they had back then was, as you know, they didn't have that many well-trained soldiers. Most of them were Ostfront people enlisted or forced into to fighting for the Germans. And especially 716th Infantry Division were fighting around Sword Beach. And there's this famous German private or grenadier, Gogol, who was on Omaha Beach. But in the book, he's talking about the experience of somebody called Wegner, who was a meager private fighting in the bunkers. And he was there at Sword Beach, and he had to stand guard at the machine gun nests. And the Germans had made something they called Widerstandsneste, which was basically interlocking fields of fire and mutual support. But the poor thing the Germans didn't think about was that if you just pulled out one piece of the card house, it all came tumbling down. So they were really strong, and they were really good at supporting each other. But if you took out one, the whole card house would fall down. And the cool thing is that they describe in the book his experiences from the bunker. And he and an old fox, so to speak, were at one of the Widerstandsneste with an MG. And the way they the talk they had among each other was that they were fighting and people were firing at them. And when the landing craft doors went down, it was just like in Saving Private Ryan. They just hosed down the enemies and stuff like that. But the problem was that in those particular bunkers, they also had Goliath bunkers, where they were supposed to drive out the Goliaths. And as he described it, normally when they start up the Goliath, it was really loud. The engine was really loud. But due to the fact that they had so much awesome firepower from the ships in the channel, they couldn't even hear the Goliath starting up. And it was difficult for them to communicate among each other, controlling it, because one guy had to guide the other guys in maneuvering the Goliath to blow up. And they had some success of driving them onto the beach, but most of them blew out next to the tanks and didn't hurt them. But the thing is, he was fighting in that bunker, and as you heard, a lot of the DD tanks they drowned out at Omaha Beach because they were dropped out at 6,500 yards, whereas at Sword Beach it was dropped off at 650 yards. So they had these guys, all the DD tanks coming onto the beach, and as he was firing and shooting, he looked at the other guy and said, "Should we surrender?" And the old fox said, "No, you have to keep on fighting, because look at all those guys lying on the beach. Do you think that they want to take our surrender? So you have to keep on fighting." And at one point, he was running out of ammunition, so he was sent back towards the ammunition depot. But a German officer walked into the room and forced a gun to his head and said, "No, you have to keep fighting." And then he was like, "But what about ammunition? We'll use the medics to bring the ammunition." So they had the medics running back and forth. And as he was saying that to the guys, one of the DD tanks hit the slit of the bunker, and all of the the concrete exploded and ricocheted off into his face.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing was that this division didn't have enough ammunition with, like, let's say, real bullets made out of lead, so to speak. So they had wooden bullets. So when they were firing the machine guns, some of the bullets were made out of wood and didn't just, kill them instantly. So they had to spend a lot of ammunition. And after the battle, this guy, he survived, because he managed to flee. And I'm not going into details to that. I'm just going to tell you, go get the book or the audiobook. But a lot of British guys that were wounded on the battlefield and on Sword Beach, they found that they had wooden bullets inside of their flesh wounds rather than normal bullets. And it was really, they didn't do that much harm, but when they hit, the bullets splintered and were very difficult for the surgeons to pull out. But a lot of the book contains stories like this, where you have eyewitnesses accounts of the battle. And at one point in the bunker, before he fled, a British guy ran up and tried to throw a grenade inside, but he managed to throw it back out and then flee. But the entire section of that book is dedicated to this poor German guy that had to fight for his life with an old fox, with a gun at his
head
point blank range. Yeah, you have to keep firing. And then at the end he was like, if I don't keep firing, they'll just shoot me anyhow. The enemy will shoot me or the officers will shoot. So it was really crazy. And then at the end, he flees and gets enrolled in some Kampfgruppe and has to keep fighting with all kinds of guys he doesn't know. And it's a really good book.
Don't tell us the end. Just let us see how it goes.
I'll tell you what happened to the guy. But go out and get James Holland's book, Normandy 44. It's a really good book.
James Holland.
So this was the German perspective on Sword Beach.
Perfect.
This week's anecdote.
Thank you very much, and it's very, very nice as always to have you with your very interesting stories and anecdotes, and you're really doing a great job. I mean, I was at the point of thinking that maybe Sauron got you on the wrong foot, but hey, you stood up to that, and you gave us a nice story. All right, guys. So see you all next time. See you all on Wednesday. Hopefully, I'll be able to get some games this weekend and maybe do a live stream, but I don't promise you anything because it's been a crazy week. You see me, I'm running all over the country because people they want to start the school, and we have to get everything ready for people to be able to do that. And this is how we roll, going from town to town. But I hope on Sunday at least I'll be able to get the game and maybe broadcast it to you guys. Christian, thank you very much for your pleasant presence, and it's been really nice talking to you and to all of you guys in the chat. Don't forget to subscribe so that you guys know when we're going live. And if you want to share our stream or our link to your Facebook account or your Facebook Flames of War pages, feel free to do that. We're more than happy to have people coming over. Thank you guys once again, and see you guys next week.
Ciao.